back to the Miami Heat. And of course, we can also talk some combat sports with our next guest. He's become a great friend. He does awesome job, not only on our NBA coverage, but post-fight coverage for UFC and boxing events. And he's a frequent guest on my 5-round show that we do Thursday night. So we have that coming up tomorrow night, 6 to 7:30. Johnathan Ramlakhan, 3-piece combo, joins us here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. We made some good acquisitions. We have a good fight coming up this weekend as well. I'm doing wonderful.
Sure
How
do.
are you doing, my friend?
Sure do, man. And let's start with these Miami Heat acquisitions. Is there anything you've been disappointed with so far? Because for me, the only regrets that I have is seeing Kendrick Nunn go to the Lakers and, not getting DeMar DeRozan. I get why he took the bag in Chicago, but are there any regrets that you have before we get into the positives?
I don't think so, because my expectations were kind of tampered coming in, right? My main expectations coming in were try to retain Duncan on a pretty decent deal, and then make sure you try to get Kyle Lowry, because that's going to ultimately make the team better. And then if you can find somebody to fill in that forward spot next to Bam, even better. And we did that doubly, right? We got Morris and we got PJ Tucker. So we did a great job this offseason. Am I a little disappointed we didn't get DeRozan? Yeah, but when you look at the number that he got in Chicago, you understand why that was going to happen anyways, right? There's no way we're going to match that. And good for him, man. Good for him. Let him go. Let him take the bag. He's still a little bit more aging, so you don't know if this is the last big deal that he's going to get. So let him go take the bag. Edward Albert saying Miami needs to sign Victor Oladipo as possible. If he can get healthy again, I hope he is great to have on the team. Hate Kendrick Nunn going elsewhere. I like him a lot. That's the one thing, actually. I do side with you on that. Not getting Kendrick Nunn back on actually such a good deal, right? We had him on that qualifying offer. But I do think Pat Riley has a plan, right? There's still a couple more roster spots to get filled out. And as I always say, man, trust in Pat.
I want to ask you this question that Edward Albert wrote in the chat. I disagree with this, and a couple of people have brought this up today. He says Miami Heat need to sign Victor Oladipo if possible. If he can get healthy again, I hope then he's great to have on the team. Hate Kendrick Nunn going elsewhere. I liked him a lot. So there's a lot to unpack there. But Victor Oladipo, I have no faith in his body, Johnathan. I have no faith that the guy can stay healthy. I thought last year was his audition, and his body failed that audition. I'm not a fan of bringing him back. Do you see it differently?
I do see it a little bit differently, right? If we're able to bring him back on a cheap contract, something that's just like a prove-it style deal, I'm completely okay with it, because we can have him come back. We already have his medical records. Our training team can work with him, get everything going. So if we can get him back on a cheap deal, that's a low risk, high reward type player, because now you have somebody that can come off the bench. Maybe he's not going to give you the Victor Oladipo that was playing in Houston, but look at the Victor Oladipo that came back when he came right off the injury in Indiana. He was still a useful player, right? He's still able to play some defense, still able to make some cuts. And if you have a Victor Oladipo, Tyler Hero backcourt coming off the bench, that's a pretty good backcourt, right? You still have a little bit of scoring there, you have a little bit of defense there, and like I said, you don't set any expectations with Victor Oladipo. You sign him knowing that it might not work out. You sign him literally knowing it might not work out, right? And if he does more than that, hey, all the better. Now we have somebody cool coming off the bench.
Shaboy Kane writes in, he says, I'd rather have Victor than UD. You can't slander my guy UD. I mean, Johnathan, I don't care if UD only plays 5 minutes per season. Like, just, check in once a year to make sure you're eligible for a season played. I'm fine with him being the 15th guy on this roster till he's 60, if that's what he wants.
Yeah, why not? Right? I mean, at the end of the day, the guy that's the 15th guy on the roster is probably not going to make that much of the difference. We already have the bonus is now we have two-way contracts, right? We didn't have that before, and now we have that extra spot. You can sit there, and one of the most memorable memories from last season is those 5 minutes that UD came on the court. I think out of everything that happened last season with the way that it went, that's probably a top 5 moment. So keep the man here. He's great for nostalgia. Everybody loves the man. He's great on the bench, right? He's a great leader. He's another NBA champion. Royal talks about a lot of the champions that we added. We added 3 NBA champions to the team. And, we lost a veteran in Goran Dragic off the bench. UD is going to be important to make sure we have that veteran leadership.
He says, I love UD, but he's taking up spots. Make him a coach, man. He doesn't want to coach. Let the guy have what he wants. I like this one from Ethan because it keeps us focused, right? Because we can talk for days about what Miami has already done. what could they still be yet to do? And I'm not expecting anything seismic for salary reasons, but how active do you think the Heat are going to be here for the rest of this free agent period? What's next?
I think we have to find a backup wing, right? We right now we only have KZ Okpala as that kind of backup wing, and sure you can slide PJ Tucker to that 3 spot if you want to at times. I don't think he has that length. He's more of that brute bull type. Will be able to keep you out of the post, keep you out of the paint, do a good job on the boards. So I still think we're looking for that wing, right? We lost out on DeMar DeRozan. A name that's been floated around is Kelly Oubre as well. I think Otto Porter took a deal to the Warriors, so I think he's gone. I would love if we can get Kelly Oubre, man, Tsunami Poppy, get that boy over here. I don't mind at all. But I think that's the next step for the Heat. I think getting a veteran wing, somebody that can play that 3-4 spot, has a little bit more length and doesn't have the rawness of KZ that'll just be committing a lot of fouls. I think that's our next step.
I think there's no question the Heat have gotten better. How much better have they gotten in your eyes? Like, where do you see them? And I know that there are complicated things here because there are also other teams making moves and getting better in the East. But how much better relative to seeding do you think the Heat have gotten this summer?
I think we're a 3 seed. I do really think we're a 3 seed, and here's why. I believe we're the best defensive team in the league now. I don't think there's a team out there that's better defensively than us. We have a defensive player of the year. Bam literally could have won defensive player of the year last year, and now he doesn't have to switch out on the perimeter every single time. He's going to have Kyle Lowry there fighting through screens, being able to match up with big guards, and that's going to help our defense tremendously. What was the second biggest issue last year? Our rebounding was a problem, and the reason the rebounding was a problem was because Bam was always switching out to the guards, and then we had Tyler Hero trying to box out Brook Lopez. And I mean, that's not going to work. So now we're going to be able to keep Bam in the paint. You're going to have PJ Tucker, who is a great box out. All the respect to Trevor Ariza. He has the length, but he doesn't have the weight to box out bigger dudes. PJ Tucker will be able to do that. I think Bam will have a really good rebounding season. I can see him averaging 11 plus.
I love it. Johnathan Ramlakhan. Yeah, so sorry to interrupt you. Johnathan Ramlakhan from 5 Reasons Sport is with us here on 5R Live. Real quick on the way out, man, we have a UFC pay-per-view coming up this weekend, UFC 265. It did suffer a blow, though, late last week with the Amanda Nunes-Juliana Pena fight getting pulled with Amanda testing positive for COVID. I still think it's a pretty saucy main card, man. Now, I'm not a fan of interim titles. I think this fight could have been a standalone. I just don't like the whole concept of interim belts. But Derek Lewis, Cyril Gane is an awesome fight. Jose Aldo, Pedro Munoz should be a really good fight. Chiesa, Luque, I think could be low-key fight of the night. I think that's a great one. Tisha Torres, Angela Hill. So there's some really good stuff on this card. Can you give a letter grade to UFC 265 this weekend? How pumped are you for it?
I'll give it a good B. Right? Luque is one of my favorite fighters, probably top 5 favorite fighters to watch. That man is one of the most entertaining dudes. One of the fights that made me fall in love with UFC was the Mike Perry versus Vicente Luque fight, because that was one of the most brutal, violent, just everything. It had everything. His nose got broken, then he got him in a choke, and that blood was squirting everywhere. I loved it, man. It was great. So I'm looking forward to say Luque. Munoz versus Aldo, man. That's going to be a banger. That's also another one that could be fight of the night. And with all the skills that Cyril Gane has, I think he outclasses Derek Lewis in every category. I do think still Derek Lewis will get it done, man. I think somehow he'll pull it out of the pocket. The way he was able to do it to Curtis Blades, and then last night I was watching the fight against Volkov. He's able to pull it out of the bag no matter what. So I think all it takes is one punch. He could be sitting there, a sitting target for 4.5 rounds, and pull that one right, left hook out of the bag, and that's it for Cyril Gane. So I think it's a good beat. I think it's a really fun card. I'm not a fan of the interim title myself, but I still think it's a great card, and I think it'll be an exciting one, especially being in Houston with Derek Lewis.
Great stuff. Make sure you follow this man, 3-piece combo. Check out his work all over the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Johnathan, thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. You have a good one.